Do you want to become a millionaire in 10 years or less?
We're going to show you exactly how to do that and how to repeat the BRRRR strategy over and over to accomplish that. It's real simple.
Now that you've bought, rehabbed, rented, and refinanced your property to recoup all your money, now what?
Click on the video up there if you need a quick refresher on what all the BRRRR strategy does. We go over that in great detail during that video.
So you finished the first 4 steps of the BRRRR strategy. Now it's time to get into the fun part.
This is exciting. This is when you can decide how much money you want to make. It's almost like you have an open checkbook for yourself. If you want to do 1 a year for the next 20 years, great. If you want to do 20 a year, great. You can basically decide how much money you want to make, how much equity you want to have, what your net worth is. This is just an open book for you to do however much you want to do.
This step is where you create your legacy.
So the reason we're talking to you about this is we've done this a little bit over the last 5 years. Lucas, why don't you give them a quick recap of what we've done?
So currently our market value of our portfolio sits at $8 million. We did that all with the BRRRR strategy. We purchased 105 houses, all of them with the BRRRR strategy.
All with no money out of pocket, and we've created over $2.5 million of equity with $0 of our own.
All of it while working full-time jobs.
So now we're going to go over one of our very first properties we bought 5 years ago and used the BRRRR strategy for.
This will really show you the power of real estate.
Lucas is going to run us through a quick example of one of our first BRRRR strategy houses we did 3 or 4 years ago. And keep in mind, this is a real house. There's a bunch of them out there. You guys can do this exact same thing with these exact same numbers as well.
Right, thanks Sam. So one of the first properties that we did, we bought the property for 75 grand, we rehabbed the property for 25,000, and we rented the property out for 1,125 bucks a month. Then when we went to refinance the property, we got an appraisal for $125,000, took an 80% loan against that appraised value, and got the loan amount of $100,000.
And this enabled us to pay back our short-term money. So just to kind of recap that was kind of a lot of numbers. Basically, we borrowed $100,000, fixed up the property, got a loan for $100,000, and we were able to get our money back with no money out of pocket, and we had a rental that was cash flowing.
Now that we got our money back, what do we do?
Do more. You guys can do this as many times as you'd like. The main thing to focus on is we shoot for 200 bucks a door cash flow. You want to make sure you're cash flow, not just buying them and getting your money back. So it doesn't always work on the higher end property. So as long as you're cash flowing net, $200 a door, why not do more, right?
Right. Just because a property falls into the BRRRR strategy does not mean you want to buy as a rental. You still got to check the other factor, which is cash flow.
And as long as it cash flows, as long as it appraises out, you do this repeat as many times as you want.
So that's an example of one of our first rentals that we did. And we've done 104 since, so 105 total in 5 years. Now, not everybody's going to be aggressive as us, so when utilizing the BRRRR strategy, you can be a professional investor, an amateur investor, work a full-time job, real estate be your full-time gig. When we first started, I was a full-time engineer. And
I was a sales rep selling construction equipment.
Yeah, so anybody can use this method. So this particular strategy, the BRRRR strategy, is not just for single-family rentals. It's for a lot of asset classes. As long as you're buying at a discount and adding value to a point where you're still only 75 to 80% of the all-in after repair value, this strategy will work for you. Go ahead.
It works for apartment complexes, it works for single family rentals, it works for duplexes, triplexes, it can work for storage lots. Like he said, basically it works for anything as long as you're adding value, and a bank will give you at least 75 to 80% back on the end.
So with your systems in place after you've done 1, 2, 3, 4 BRRRR strategy deals, now it's time to show you a real life example on if you bought 4 houses a year for the next 5 years.
So we're going to break down the example that we just went over. If you bought 1 house a quarter for 5 years, so you bought 20 houses in 5 years, and just show the power of that after 10 years, what that does, what the equity does, what the tenant pay down does. Just kind of show you the power of real estate and how you can become a millionaire very, very easily. So this example we're going to go over has a few assumptions we want to share with you guys. One is we're going to assume that there's 3% appreciation. Don't buy assuming appreciation, but looking at the history of real estate, houses appreciate over time. It just kind of depends if it's an up or down cycle, but overall they do appreciate. So this example has a 3% appreciation assumption. Also, if you have tenants, whether they're staying in the property or you're moving in new tenants, you do need to raise rent each year. We're assuming a 3% a year rent increase.
So it's been 10 years. The first 5 years you bought 4 houses per year. So now you own 20 houses. With the assumptions that Sam laid out, the value of your houses will be $3.18 million. Your total loan balance will be $1.6 million, and your equity will be almost $1.6 million. So at this point you are a millionaire, and your cash flow also increases with your 3% rent increase each year, and your monthly cash flow off those 20 houses will be $7,200 a month.
So right now you have over $1.5 million in equity, and you're getting almost $85,000 a year in income. So whether you do that when you're 20 or you do that when you're 40, it doesn't really matter. You can do it any stage in your life. If you want to do it when you're 40 and you want to retire when you're 50 and keep your full-time job, this is a great way to do that. You can have your normal retirement, your normal 401k, your normal investments, but do this on the side, and then when you're 50 years old, you can retire. A very, very small percentage of people can retire when they're 50, and this is a great way to kind of supplement that. Or go all in and triple this and do 4 times this in the next 10 years, and then you can retire earlier, retire better. There's just so many possibilities. So Lucas, what are your options if you've done our plan we just laid out in 10 years, or if you decide to do your own thing? What are your options after you have a bunch of properties? What can you do with them?
Yeah, so once you start building up some equity, you have a lot of options like Sam was talking about. You can refinance your entire portfolio to create more cash flow, so you'd have better interest rate, longer amortization, to create more cash flows if cash flow is your end game. If equity and wealth is your end game, you can use the extra cash flow that you're creating every month by adding more properties to pay down your debt even faster, and therefore you will become a millionaire faster.
Yeah, so we've only been doing it 5 years, but we are refinancing our whole portfolio now that we've done this, and we built up our portfolio and have created cash flow and brought down the debt all with no money out of our pocket at all during the beginning and or middle, and now we're able to almost pull out almost $1 million in equity if we choose to when we refinance our property tax-free because of what we built throughout the last 5 years using the strategy. So our whole strategy and everything is based around our market. We're in the Midwest, we're in St. Louis, but there's a lot of different other markets that it works differently, it works better, it works worse.
Yeah, maybe you'll have a little lower cash flow on some of the bigger coast towns, but your appreciation might be much more than 3% like we used in our example.
So there's a lot of different kind of nuances that go into it, but overall it can work in pretty much any market. You just got to find the right properties in the right areas and just whatever makes sense for you and you're comfortable with. So if you just caught this video and know this lingo and kind of what we're talking about, the BRRRR strategy, you'll know what that is. Go back to our channel. We break down what the BRRRR strategy is. We break down what each step stands for in great detail so you kind of know exactly what we're talking about, and a lot of it can make more sense to you. And we'll have links in the description as well. If you enjoyed this content, please subscribe, like, and hit that notification bell.
Yeah, that was a repeat video, but check out all our other videos and hit that subscribe button. See you guys. Are you gonna talk at all?
Nailed it!